There she is, my Louise, my baby girl. She's not a baby anymore, no. She's 33 and wary 10 years north of that. But I'll always think of her as my baby girl. It's a mom thing. I haven't been a great mom to her, not even a good one. But feelings are what they are. I remember the day she was born like it was yesterday, holding her in my arms and singing to her and feeding her at my breast. And how she looked up at me with her wide blue eyes, really looked at me. Not like most newborns who can't focus on anything. And her steadfast stare extracted a promise from me to be true and faithful and to always be there for her, like a mom's supposed to be. I've broken that promise more times than I can count. She follows the shrink into the room and stops just beyond the door. Her expression is stony. She's probably thinking about the last time we saw each other. I feel bad about that meeting, and she likely does too, but there's nothing we can do about it now. Onward and upward, right? Grace, she says. I always preferred Mom, I tell her, and she winces. But Grace is fine. Strained silence, our usual. Something buzzes from the shrink's pocket. She pulls out a cell phone and gazes at the screen, then she clears her throat. I have an intake. The shrink turns to Lou. Are you comfortable being alone with your mother? Yes, she says, even though I know she's not. Louise has never been comfortable with me, alone or in a crowd. The shrink nods and heads for the door, stops and gestures to a button on the wall under the window. Panic button. If you need anything, just push this. I'll be back in about 15 minutes and we can discuss the next step. What does that mean? Louise asks. The next step? The shrink stifles a shrug, glances at her phone. We'll talk. Louise nods, not happily, and watches the woman leave, turns back to me and frowns. I didn't know you were in New York, she says. I thought you hated the Big Apple. Oh, I do. She takes a step towards me, stops. Then why are you here? And what were you doing on the George Washington Bridge in your underwear? What the hell, Grace? I suppress the urge to stand up and rush at her and throw my arms around her. She would not be open to my ministrations. She would reject them. So I hold myself still on the exam table with a long, wide strip of parchment paper under my hind parts. They gave me a gown, but it doesn't wrap far enough around to cover my boy shorts. They took my bra, although I'm not sure why. Maybe it interfered with the stethoscope, or maybe it was so stretched out it had no place being called a bra anymore. Don't know, don't care. My tatas don't mind swinging free. I came here for you. She glares at me. How did you know where I am? Facebook, I tell her, and her lips curl into a sneer. I'm not on Facebook. I shrug. Neither am I. How are you doing, Louise? I ask, and she shakes her head. Don't change the subject. I'm not, Missy. Is it a crime for a mother to ask after her daughter? She rubs at her eyes and shakes her head at the same time, then drops her hands to her sides and looks at me. Okay, I have to be at work at 6, so I can't stay much longer. I came to see if you're all right. You are. Now I'm going to go. She unhoists her backpack, then yanks it open and rummages through it. A moment later, she tosses 2 pieces of clothing at me, a pair of gray sweats and a black t-shirt. I grab them midair, set the sweats on the exam table, and shake out the t-shirt. The legend Nirvana, with a stupid smiley face and X'd out eyes, glares at me. I look at Louise. You know I hate Nirvana. She gives me a mean grin. Yeah, well, it's all I had clean. We stare at each other for a long moment. Let Dr. Markham know I left, she says. Who? Dr. Markham, the psychiatrist, the one who just was in here? Oh, her, I nod. I don't like her at all. Bad one, that girl. Louise looks at me, pretends to be disinterested, but I can tell she's got a bad vibe about the shrink, too. Another round of silence. Louise pulls her cell phone out of her backpack. God, I hate those things. I have one, of course, but I feel like they are the downfall of mankind. I gotta go, my daughter says. She turns away and takes 2 steps toward the door. Wait, I call to her. Don't go. I need to tell you. Impatience oozes from her pores. What, Grace? What do you need to tell me? I try for a conciliatory smile, one that spreads my lips far and wide and exposes my veneers. Close your mouth, she says. You look like a ghoul. That's a fine way to talk to your mother. What, Grace, she presses. What do you need to tell me? I don't smile this time, just keep my expression neutral. I found her, I say. I found Edie. I watch as the color drains from my daughter's face. Don't call her that, she snaps. That's not her name. It never was. Doesn't matter, Lou. What matters is I found her, and she needs us.